Hey, what's going on, everybody? So we're going to look at another old laptop today, and this one is the Dell Latitude E5550. The Latitude E550 is a little bit newer than the laptops I've been reviewing on my channel thus far. Normally, I've been looking at something that's 8 to 7 years old, and this one's maybe 4 to 5 years old, depending on the configuration. So we're going to look at the performance, the aesthetics, and my opinions of this laptop overall. The Dell Latitude E5550 actually has several different varieties. It started from Intel's fourth generation Haswell processors and continued to Intel's fifth generation Broadwell processors. So, but they're all 15-inch business laptops, and so I'm just saying, like, if you were in the market for a 5550, make sure you know what CPU you're getting. Everything else can be replaced, but CPU is going to be something that's not very easy to be replaced. So just make sure you know what CPU is in there. I do recommend, though, if you are choosing between a Haswell and a Broadwell processor, I would pay a little bit more for a Broadwell processor. And the reason why I recommend you going with a Broadwell processor is because Broadwell moved Intel's manufacturing process from a 22 nanometer to 14 nanometers. So it made it a lot more efficient in terms of power consumption. It made the CPUs quite a bit faster than the Haswells. The Broadwells also added some more better HEVC decode, which is something that I find to be very useful. So these are the factors that I think you should spend just a little bit more money on the Broadwell processors if you have the choice. We're going to start with the aesthetics of this laptop first, because this is something that doesn't really change across the different versions of the E550. The top is made out of carbon fiber with a all black finish, the soft touch finish that you would also find on the 7000 series. It feels really nice to the touch, and it does attract some grease from your fingers, but it's easy to clean off. The back hinge is made out of steel, I think, and uh, it is fairly sturdy, as with other business laptops, but I have seen people break them, so it's not, you know, invulnerable. It's not indestructible, I mean. Anyways, from the left side, we have a Kensington lock, a vent, and you have a smart card reader and a headphone jack. There's really nothing in the front except for an LED indicator here. And to the right side, we have a, a USB 3 port with power delivery and an SD card. In the back, we have more ports, the Ethernet port, VGA. You have a USB 3 port here. You have a full-size HDMI, another USB 3.0 port, and a power jack. So you've got a total of 3 USB 3 ports, no DVD drive, and you have HDMI. Now, I think with a 15-inch laptop, you can probably put more ports in there, but that's not something that Dell did. So that's a little bit, for me, it's a little bit disappointing. If I could take off points for this laptop, that is probably one place where I would, take off points. This is a 15-inch. It should be kind of like almost a desktop replacement. So I think really it should come with maybe another USB port, like a display port or something like that, just to fill in some of the space onto the sides. I think it's interesting to take a look at a comparison, a very brief comparison of the 5000 series and the 7000 series from Dell. So of course on the bottom you have the 5550. On top you have the Dell 14-inch 7450, which is the 7000 series laptop from the same generation. They really they look very much alike with each other. And they also have pretty similar specs as well. But so for me, it was like, why is the laptop on the bottom the 5000 series, and why is the one on the top the 7000 series? The 7000 series should be more premium, and I think the main reason is just the construction. I really didn't see very much difference in between these two laptops other than that. So I'll show you what I mean. Now, at the bottom, you can see, as I showed before, the Dell Latitude 55000 series. If you look closely, the material is kind of this rough looking plastic, right? It's not it's not weak by any means, but it's a little bit cheaper looking than what you would get on the 7000 series. The 7000 series has this more premium looking material. It's smooth. There's not a lot of roughness on the side. So I think this is this is the main difference um, between these two laptops. It's just like the overall construction. Moving on to the hardware specifications. So we'll start with the CPU first. The CPU that comes with this particular unit is the Core i5-5300U, clocked at 2.3 gigahertz with a boost clock of 2.9 gigahertz. As I mentioned, there are several different varieties of the 5550. It can be a Haswell processor, it can be a Core i3, and I believe it can also go up to a Core i7. So I think because businesses order the i5 the most, and that's probably the version that you'll see out there as being the most common. This unit also came with 8 gigabytes of DDR3 memory. I believe there's a 4 gigabyte configuration available. You can probably also get a 16 gigabyte or just add the memory yourself. The original storage, I'm not really sure what the original storage on this device is, but I have an SSD in there. Since it's 2019, right now SSD prices are fairly low, so it just makes sense to replace a hard drive with an SSD for faster performance. The Wi-Fi, I believe, is an AC Wi-Fi card. And in this unit, the graphics is just integrated HD, Intel HD graphics. Moving onto the screen, this unit has a full HD IPS panel made by AU Optronics. If you get the IPS option, I believe some will be made by AU Optronics and some will be made by Samsung, but both of these manufacturers make good LCD panels. So no matter what you get, you're going to get a very nice display. It's not the best IPS panel out there now because technology has improved since 2015 is probably when this laptop was produced. But the quality of this laptop or this screen is very nice. You can see great viewing angles, especially from the top. Great view angles from the side. Just very good colors. There are some cheap IPS panels that are out there, and this is not one of them. This is definitely something that's kind of in the middle. And even middle of the road IPS panels are going to look good for most people. There is a 1366 by 768 option out there for the laptop screen. I suggest just not getting those because the quality on those displays is just going to be a lot worse than what you get on IPS. So just spend a little bit more money. It's not a very expensive laptop anyways. Just spend a little bit more money on IPS. Dell has done something really special around this at this point in their history. So right now, I believe when you get an FHD panel from Lenovo, HP, Dell, the three main PC manufacturers in the US. Right now, you're probably going to get an IPS panel, but at this point, IPS is not standard yet, and Dell was the first to make IPS standard on all of their FHD panels from the 5000 and 7000 series, starting at this point. So at this point in their history, Lenovo and HP were still putting out laptops that are also FHD, but they're not IPS, and they had like lower quality TN displays. They're not necessarily all bad, but the IPS is just going to make a huge difference to the display quality. So I think around this time, Dell had the best displays for their laptops. Onto the keyboard. The keyboard is backlit, as you can see here. There's two different levels of backlighting, and it's also can be configured to fade away or to stay on under AC power. So there's also the track point here. which some people, some especially IBM ThinkPad users like. I'm not a big fan. I've got a good-sized trackpad with physical keys at the bottom. Not much to say. The keyboard works pretty well. I mean, it feels pretty good to type on. I've had a lot of experience using the Latitude keyboards. They're, to me, they're a little bit tougher to press down than I would like, but overall you can get used to it. There's not a big deal. I've used Dell Latitude keyboards a lot, and I can get work done very comfortably. So one of the things that I want to do is to look at the CPU performance. And modern CPUs, even from the Haswell era, and the Sandy Bridge and Haswell era, has been able to handle basic things such as web browsing, document creation, light content creation for quite some time. So to me, that is not something that's very interesting to look at. But one of the things that the Broadwell processors brought into play for Intel is hardware decode of HEVC H265 video. So this is the first generation of Intel CPUs that brought in this capability and put this capability on the GPU itself. And so what we're seeing in the background being played is, Braveheart, encoded in it's a 1080p video encoded in H265. So as you can see from the CPU usage, it's very low. And so what this means is that your fans are going to stay quiet when you're playing 1080p HEVC video. Your power consumption is going to be low. So if you're like traveling, you will be able to play back videos for a longer time on battery. So if you're like me and you watch a lot of movies on the computer, the Broadwell processors are probably the oldest CPUs that I will get because that's the oldest that supports hardware HEVC decode. And make sure you do not skip on the IPS screen because that's going to make your movie watching experience much better. All right, let's take a look at the speakers a little bit. The speakers are quite good for business laptops. They get quite loud, and you do hear a little bit of bass. Not bad at all. Okay, let's test out the camera, the webcam. The webcam quality, I think, is slightly above average compared with other laptops that I've seen out there. Of course, no webcam that I've ever seen has very good color reproduction. The better webcams kind of does this high ISO level where it introduces a lot of noise, but it does make the picture brighter and captures more light than lower ISO cameras. But this does the job pretty well, and again, a little bit better than average. Opening up the Latitude 5550 is not too difficult. All you have to do is to remove 6 screws, and you do have to use a prying tool, which is unlike some other Dell Latitude laptops, which does make it a little bit slightly more difficult to maintain, but all you have to do is to get a credit card or some sturdy object and then just put it under this notch. Just try to pry it open from this notch over here. But once you've done that, then you've got access to all of this right here. This is your 2.5-inch hard drive bay. I have an SSD in here right now. This is your battery. It's pretty easy to remove. Let's see. This is your 2 DIMM slots, and since this is DDR3, your maximum amount of memory is going to be 16 gigabytes. Your Wi-Fi card, and then there's this mini PCIe slot right here. I believe this is a SIM card. I had never tried this, but from the looks of the logo, it looks to be like a SIM card slot. Here's your fan, and this is your CPU. There's some placeholders for something. I believe one of them should be a graphics processor, and the 5550 does come with an optional NVIDIA graphics chip, but I don't think this one obviously does not have it. So that's all you get access to right off the bat. And of course, there's probably something else that you can get access to by removing the motherboard. All right, some final thoughts on the Dell E5550. I think it's an excellent laptop for the price that you're going to be paying for it. So right now in 2019, you're going to be paying about $250 to $300 for this configuration with an IPS panel. And for that price, I think it is very reasonable. You get a processor that handles pretty much everything that you throw at it, except for gaming, of course. It's not a gaming system, but every single kind of productivity tasks, multimedia tasks, even some light content creation, and if you're like a programmer, some programming. So these are the kind of things that this thing will handle quite well. You get a really nice screen, you get a good amount of memory, you get good aesthetics, and then you can put in whatever storage that you want and SSD for yourself. So it just meets all of my personal requirements for a primary laptop that is not meant for gaming. So if you're looking for a 15-inch laptop and you're not looking to spend a lot of money, you want good construction, you want good aesthetics, you want good performance for everyday tasks. This is one of the laptops that you should get. All right, let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you next time.